Taoist Magic Talk Show brought to you by Taoist Master Ji Sifu and King Dragon Taoism. ผู้亮天尊. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. This is your Sifu right here. Today is an exciting episode that doesn't fit the season because, everyone would expect, oh, it's the Chinese New Year. You must be coming out with what's so special about the New Year, the tradition, okay? Those things you want to read about it, go to my website. I got blogs on it, and if you want to read more about it or have questions, feel free to ask. But podcast, I don't think people really click into it if I use that as a title. So I want to get something that fit my audience taste, and it's more important to bring to the world. So as you can see, today it's like a kind of like a movie review, but also I want to say, check out the description because I'll put the movie link there. And thanks to my disciple because he found a site that you can watch this movie with English subtitles. So it's so nice. It's an old movie, but it's not that old. It's not black and white kind of old. It's very exciting. So you can check it out. Now, this movie tells you, shows you something that a lot of Westerner who kind of want to say they want to study Taoism, they don't even touch this part. Because why? Well, I don't know. The Western Taoism is a disaster. It's like they only want to study the history of Taoism in a way that they like, but they want to ignore the reality of what Taoists do. If you go to China, Hong Kong, and whatever those places, right, and you go ask anyone locally, you know about Taoism? And they will point you a temple, right? Or they will say, I know a seafood that is the Taoist. And what do? They all do magic. Yeah, you go to, let's say the Wudang Mountain, right? Most of the Guaylo, they want to go learn Tai Chi and the sword and stuff, right? You think it's cool, the martial art part, but hey, check it out. Wudang guys, they do rituals. They have robe, altar, rightful, and all that stuff. They are a Taoist sect. They do magic. Like it or not, that's a fact. And, well, some of the Guaylo don't want to accept it. And they say, I'm just learning the Tai Chi part. Well, yeah, the Tai Chi is like a promotional tool for the tourists. Like, you guys outside, the outsiders. And then if you get into being actual disciple of that master, you will eventually have to learn the religious part because that's the real deal part of it. That's what it is all about. The Tai Chi stuff is like a side dish. It's for the outsiders, for promotion, even you're not ordained yet, you're not a disciple, you can still do Tai Chi, right? No one said you must be a Taoist. So it's kind of like get the public to you can join this group and do martial art together. But if you're actually a disciple, you go in there and learn the magic. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, back to my movie though. This movie shows you some magic that is more like the Taoist magic in reality. And it, of course, not like that in reality, but it's kind of cool because in this movie, they use a lot of good visuals. It's not like, all computer graphics and such. You can see a lot of partially real spells and some elements that are actually happening in reality. For example, they do magic battles between two masters, and they are the same lineage, but one is the elder brother in the lineage, and they got into this fight where they're using magic to fight each other and counter each other. It's really cool. If you take a look at that movie, you can see those details of how much they put into the sets and the altar and all that. It's really cool. And a lot of elements, if you're not actually practicing the magic under a master, you won't even know. For example, one of the things is how they do spells. So usually you see people when you hear spells in Taoism, in a modern movie, they often don't have this. That's why I really clap for this movie. They made it. Okay, in the modern movie, they're like they read the spell out, like they actually read the word like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like reading the word out, right? Now you know what? In real Taoist magic, we have what we call a thundering method. Thundering method is like you recite the spell so fast to a point that it becomes mumbles, and it's very common in many lineage. They have that kind of thing. It's like even our lineage have that. Okay, so it's like, for example, when we say the spell, it's like, okay, this is an example, right? For example, Sammo Hung loading like that. Okay, you say it out, it's like that. But when we actually chant it or like use it, it can be like this. Like that, right? And you don't know what's going on. So outsiders, you don't know what that is. If you have cultivated, you will know what it is, right? They have that element in the movie. So you see, they have consulted some professional for sure, right? And it's like you think that, oh, what are they doing? They're just pretending. No, they're not pretending. This is like actually how it is in real life. Like that's the cool part. Like, wow, they actually put that detail in there. That is cool. Modern movie, they don't even know about this. Like from the outsider's view, if you're not pro in that field. And then there are a lot of other things like how they use the magic tools. For example, they have been using things on the altar like water, rice, flour, and things like that as a way to cast their magic. And that is very common in many sects. We use those things as like a way to deploy the power. Every items will have a special meaning because when you consecrate that item, okay, like for example, you got a dish of rice, a dish of beans, things like that, and you consecrate them so that they become a code, with your God. For example, you have the rice, and it's like the rice is equals to the God's positive power. So whenever I sprinkle rice, it's like add power, boost, like boost the power. That's what it means to the God. So wherever you need the boost, you sprinkle rice over. That's what it is, right? So in the movie, they have that kind of scene where they sprinkle or splash the rice or the salt and the flour. Flour is actually used as an absorbent to water. You see, if you have water, right, and you put flour, the flour just absorb all that water up and become a puddle, right? So that's a metaphor. And why we use flour on the altar is because they absorb water. And what is water? You see, in Taoism and Taoist magic, we use all these words as a metaphor. So when we say, for example, 5 elements, gold, water, wood, fire, earth, it's not the actual physical element. It's a metaphor. So when we say water, what does that mean? It means things that is coming down at you. So if people are firing their magic at you, like people are putting things on you or pouring their magic power on you, that is water, incoming things, right? So if you use flour, you're telling your God to like blast out the power to absorb the impact. It's kind of like a sponge, absorb the impact. So when they throw the flour, it's like something's coming at you, you throw the flour, it absorbs it, right? It's not the flour that absorbs the power. It's because of the code. Okay, it's like, if you have a dog, right, you can train the dog to like watch what you're doing. And if you I throw this thing out, the dog will go there. If I throw this thing out, the dog will do this, like that. So you're kind of like training your God to understand what you mean, right? So every element on the altar acts as a communication tool. You throw the thing, then, it's not the flour itself that will absorb the power. It's the God that agrees to it that is doing the trick. Okay, that's reality. But in the movie, they show it like, the power is coming in, so that guy just throw a dish of flour over and absorb and bang, 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 like that. They make it more exciting in a visual way, but that element is actually true, just that it's not as, physically interpreted that way in real life. But it's cool that they have that element in, right? And they have been using a lot of life sacrifice, which I don't think a lot of movie would do that these days. But in traditional Taoism, a lot of sects actually does that. Like for example, before they write food, right, and then they will like slice the neck of a chicken, like a live chicken, a rooster, and then they will get those blood from the neck into a bowl, and then they use that as like their magic potion. So the guy was like, that master was like drinking some of the blood and then spit it all over his stuff, and then some of the blood was used as part of the ink to write his food and used in the magic ritual. So that was like confusing for a lot of people, because like, why do you need to use the blood of a chicken? And well, let me tell you, in real magic, like not my sect, okay, but other sects, they have used other animals' blood as well. For example, I have seen people using snake blood, and some people will use other things. Okay, you use your imagination, right? But why? Okay, let me tell you why. It's not the animal that has any magical power. It's not like, oh, you know what, like the chicken's blood has a special energy. It's not that. Okay, it's not that. When you have, okay, let's say in one of the sects, okay, not going to name which sect, okay, but in one of the sects, they have like this method using a chicken, and they need that chicken to be white. Okay? So they have a white chicken, and they will consecrate this chicken first. So that means the chicken symbolize the god something, like this is the god's chicken. It's something different, right? It's not like an ordinary chicken anymore. You're using the chicken to represent part of, you know, the god. And then you slice the chicken for the blood, so you're actually getting the god's blood. You get the idea? Right? So it's like a symbolizing thing, okay? And can you do it without the blood? Yeah, of course you can. You know, like in Catholic or Christian, they have like, you know, things that symbolize the God blood, the grape juice thingy, right? And then they have like the biscuit that symbolize the flesh. That's the way, right? That's how they do it. So why do they, like, why people back then use live sacrifice, like actually have to kill a chicken? Well, it's because, you know, in China, a lot of village with those folks magic, they're a farmer. And what comes handy? Grape juice or chicken blood? You know, like, think about it. Like, everyone's house, there's a chicken, right? Everyone's house have chicken. It's so common. Everyone has chicken. You get it. But grape juice? Are you joking? Like, that's something from the outside, you know? Like, you got to import it from somewhere, and that's like the food for the king, not for you poor people, okay? So they won't have grape juice. Yeah. And what else can they use, right? Well, whatever that is closest to them, they use those things, right? Back then, everyone is like farmer, villager. They have whatever's in the kitchen. So you see, Taoist magic use a lot, like traditional sect. They use a lot of kitchen stuff. The salt, the rice, you know, beans, flour, all of them in the kitchen, right? And they use like ginger and straws and, you know, like straw man and things like that. Or you use like element that you can pick around the house. So in a way, traditional Taoism magic, it's kind of like it fits that time where people are all living in the village and mountain and all that, right? It fits because everyone has those elements. But now it's like, I want to get a straw man, but I don't have those elements at home to make it. I don't have those things, right? But back then, you know, in the village, you just go outside and you can find things to make a straw man already. So it's like, yeah, in the modern society, you know, for you to actually find a live chicken and the blood and such, you know, it's so much harder. So, you see, so yeah, Taoist magic also evolved over time. For example, now it's like you want to symbolize the blood of your god. It's fine, you know, you can use something red, like red paint. But you know, back then, if you want to get red paint, it's so hard. You know, if you're like a villager living there, and not to even talk about paint, but like even ink is expensive stuff, right? black ink. It's expensive. So if you want like to write or learn to write, you use a stick and you write on the floor with water. Right? Ink, red ink. Are you joking? But nowadays it's like so cheap, right? You can buy red ink right away. You can use red watercolor, right? Anything that is red, it works. So, yeah. And then, back then there was a time where people are so into this like mineral. I forgot the English name, cinnabar or something. It's called jusa in Chinese, and it's like people don't understand. Like in the modern society, people don't understand what the thing is. People think that element is what makes the liquid red for us to write food. But you know what? The real ones, they are not color pigment. Those things are they're like rocks. They're minerals. You put them in water, they don't like discolor. Nothing comes out. If you go to find a legit seller of like jewelries made with those things, you put them in water, they do not give off red color. If you see red coming out of it, that's paint. That's fake stuff, right? So why people put those into the food writing liquid to, for what purpose? Well, very simple. Because some sects have their own code language with things. Like, oh, I use this because of this reason. So it's like a code. But do you need to use that? Well, it depends on your lineage, I have to say. Okay? It depends on your lineage. And can you change that? Yes, you can change it. If you have that power in the lineage, you can make the change. Like as a newbie, you cannot. But once you're a master, you can make changes, right? Why not? Because magic is live. It's a real communication with the God. If you don't have that material, what can you do, right? Like, for example, I need to put liquor on my altar for this purpose. And, well, I run out of liquor today. Can I put other things? Of course, I put water up and I say that's liquor. That's fine. My God knows it's fine. Why not? Right? You can put orange juice too. Like today, I don't have liquor. So orange juice will be my liquor today. Fine, no problem. Your God understands. It's fine, right? As long as the God agrees. Anyway, and that movie, exciting. They even have this spirit possession, like God possession. So they will like invoke the God into their body and act like those, like mediums and fight. And you know what? These things are what happened in like Asia when people are doing their, Taoist magic. Some sect does it. Yeah, they have these things. And, well, it's part of their culture. So, you see, yeah. Not every sect does that, though, okay? It's just like some sects have that kind of stuff. So I would say it's pretty cool. One more thing that to talk about is like the if you watch like in the middle or near end, there's a part where Sammo Hung got ordained, like initiated into the sect, and the master was like writing fu all over his body with a red brush, and he's like fully naked, and you're writing fu over him. Some people don't understand what that is, and that is actually part of the ceremony. We also do that. It's called 表身. What you're doing is like you're programming the whole body. So it's not like you write fu to protect the person. Those fu is written to like program the different parts of your body so that when you do the magic and the movement, it will work. Okay, it's like hooking up the remote control buttons to work as it should. So that's the thing that makes your body be able to do the magic in the sect. And of course, you don't need to actually have the disciple take off their clothes to do that. We can write it in the air, like, invisibly, and you can do that too. So we actually do that in our ceremony for the disciples when they ordain. Wow, my timer is up. So check the description for the link and watch the movie. It's very exciting. Let me know how you like it. We'll see you in the next episode. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. And I would like to make another episode, maybe just to talk about those things. It's really cool. So anyway, see you in the next episode. And early Happy New Year. Hope you're prepared. Check out my website for more information. Bye-bye.